Testing. We're okay. Good morning, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Oops, that's a bit too big, isn't it? Just want to watch a street view today. Yes, nice sunny day, so the camera's going to face west. The sun is it's right directly on where the camera would be. It would be coming straight in the lens, so we cannot do that today. So. Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, we left off with carving on this block. We're going to put this away. We don't have time to do this today, I think. Oh! Dei-chan has been testing. Dei-chan has been testing. As you know, we've had 4 colors. We added a 5th one, the yellow, and it's reasonable. I think the yellow at the moment is a bit too yellowy. I'm going to ask her to put a bit more red in it, tint it up a little bit, but it's going to be okay. But what we have to do now is, Dei-chan asked me, and I concur, she wants to, remember the other day when we carved this yellow block, I wasn't sure what to do inside the noodle bowl or the food bowl, so I just carved the whole thing straight. Excuse me. And we said we'd pull some bits out of it later on. Well, now it's time to do that. So she's done a test printing, and what they did, she and Chon-sam, they did a test print, and they painted just for paint. You can't print white, but they painted with some white, what do you call it? The stuff that you do white out with, just to give some idea about what it might look like. So this is white painted on top, then outlined in black, just to give an idea where they would pull some highlights out of there. They gave that back to me and said, Dave, if you will please, carve it. So that's my job this morning. What we're going to do is, she's moistened this. This is moistened, so it's expanded to the correct size of that a woodblock print would be. I'm going to paste it down and chop out the parts that she's marked in white. The usual gang, the usual crowd. Lamp posts lift off a little bit. It looks like it's flying low today. I don't know. I don't think that can change, but whatever. Not digging. Can't please everybody all the time. Yeah, there won't be any black lines there. Of course, the black lines are for me right now. There won't be black printed there. It'll just be a bit missing. So she showed me both ways, and it does. With just the yellow there, whatever, nobody would notice it or nobody would complain. But it looks just a bit strange with nothing there. Pulling some white out looked okay, and she's outlined it in black so that I can see it. And of course, this is not Gampi today. There's no peel happening here. Give that a minute to dry. Not dry, but get set. Okay, before we can do that, I got to sharpen. So that's good. That can settle down while I'm sharpening. So what's going to be happening today is this. We'll carve that bit of stuff in that noodle bowl after the sharpening here. Then we'll switch back to the carving on the horse. The horse is in the snow. We do have a show and tell. What we can do is we can pick up on volume 2 of that book that we started with the other day. And also I've got something else from Mr. K. Mr. K has come through with another one of those small prints printed from the Takamizawa blocks, which makes 3 now, and now it's time for me to get them online. So we'll look at that print today as well in the show and tell time. Also too, before I forget, the show and tell that we did on Thursday, I already got Yamada-san and I yesterday worked on taking photographs, and it went online. The book that we showed on Thursday is now already online. So let me put a link in here for you. Yeah, here we go. This is in our collection already. This is the book that you saw on Thursday morning if you were on the stream here. Okay, excuse me a minute while I get some work done here. That'll do it for the shape. That's how quick it goes, you know. These blades are so small. It's just literally seconds of work. I don't know if you can hear the difference. The first strokes are made fairly strong, and then when you get to the end, just back off the pressure a bit. The first strokes are scratching. It's rough stuff, and it's scratching the steel. But if you do a half a dozen strokes or so with less pressure, it takes away most of the deepest scratching, making it easier for the next step. How often do I replace the blades? It's hard to say. I don't really do much carving these days anymore. It's just a couple of hours, 2 or 3 days a week. So it's, I don't know, once a year or something like that. I don't know. When I was doing this every day, as a real full-time job, it would have been monthly maybe or so, I guess. I don't really know. Didn't keep track of it. And it's the main carving knife that gets replaced most. Some of the other chisels, I haven't replaced those in years. That's the back side. Take the burr off the edge, just the edge. Why don't I carve as much now? Because I'm now the owner and proprietor of a 30-person company doing woodblock print publishing. Years ago, up to 10 years ago, I used to work all by myself, just me, nobody else, carving every day, printing every day, publishing prints. And now life is very different. There's actually nearly 30 people working here now. So my job is much more in the line of a business manager. Today's job, I'll be doing a stream today for 90 minutes. Then upstairs, I'll be sizing the paper. I've got to do a batch of paper sizing for our printers. And then all of this afternoon, I would love to be scanning for that collection, but it's going to be accounting work. This month, it's our year end, our new company's year end. And the accounting work has been really, really catching up to me. The book illustrations, aren't they cool? They show I'm really learning how to use Photoshop, you know. I'm learning very, very much how to do that. This is not Gampi, of course. This is thick Hosho paper. So no special peel here today. Just try and get rid of some of the back. I don't know where we are. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to that so much. No, we're not using Gampi because it's just simply this is one of the test prints. She just grabbed the test print, scribbled some stuff on it, and they gave it to me to paste down. So this is a print that has been sacrificed. One of the first prints off the blocks has been sacrificed. I paste it down. We do this all the time. But the Hosho paper is so much thicker than the Gampi, we can't see really from the back. So anyway, that'll do it. You can see what's happening. That is one big crow. Okay, let's get in there. I think I'll use the scope here because I want to get in close. Is a huge crow. Questions. We'll be working on him later in the stream. I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, the horse. Yeah. We'll be back on the horse thing in a few minutes. I just got to get this done. She's waiting for this later this afternoon. So. Oh, could you see him, the crow there? Was it visible? Yell at me if it comes down, and we can put the camera view up bigger there. We should put some food out there or something. Oh, I see, sitting on the sign at the top there. So, I'm sorry, we could have zoomed in on there. Zanendes. He's got to be right there somewhere. So if I go out there, he'll just fly away. So it's no point. He must be on our balcony up top. That happens sometimes. I'm sitting in the room in the back, and they come and sit on the edge of the balcony, and they are just massive things. Come on, guy. Come down onto the street. Let's see you. Win some, lose some. It's only a crow, that's right. That bird watching, this rare bird that's never seen by human eyes before. A Tokyo City crow, yeah, right. I should have made some notes about where these are. I don't remember. It's hard to see. Oh, he's gone, is he? Has he flown away? Oh, I see. It's a crew. It's a group of them. They're having a get together or a invasion in somebody's territory or something. I really should have made some notes. I can't see where these are. I would guess that's territorial stuff, maybe. I don't know. Okay, maybe that's it. I don't know. Oh, here's one. Okay, I think that'll do it. Just so you can see, and this is a rough proof. It'll look something like this, I think. There's a few more touch-ups to go on this. What she wants me to do is a few more things. She's asked me to clean up some of the places. For example, there's supposed to be a rim light around this fish here. It's barely visible, so she wants that to be cut back a bit more. The thread that runs through the picture here, John has called for a white space just alongside the thread to highlight it, but I cut too thin in this area. So this has to be opened up so that there's a white sort of highlight all the way along that thread all the way up. And in this part, this purple one, I totally forgot to do that. So this white space space that you see here, we've got to cut that all the way, all the way, all the way. And that's critical. If I just tried to cut that now, basically freehand, I'd be in trouble. So I'm going to myself, I'll get some tight paper, I will print the key block, transfer it to each of these again, just to make sure I get the position of that line exactly right. In the middle of this noodles, it's okay, whatever comes out is fine, but in the case of that line, that's got to be exactly correct. So that's roughly what it's going to look like. This is still a hugely rough impression. She'll be printing it smooth and neat and clean, and maybe we'll do a few more changes, but that's basically now what the print is going to look like. The repair we made, of course, is long completely invisible now. So there we are. I'm not supposed to show these. These are the Patreon chibis for 2020. Starting next week, they will get into production printing. Okay, let's put that aside and back to our real work. This also has Patreon work, the share certificates. Is there a good way to make the Baron more separated from the desk? Well, I don't know. You should be asking John about that. John's the designer. It's a question of how many colors. If you use 50 colors, you can separate everything. We wanted to keep the colors down to a minimum. Desks are usually brown. Barons are usually like this. I think we're okay. I don't think there's any problem understanding that the Baron is one thing and the desk is another thing. Maybe up here it's a tiny bit confusing, is it? Okay, let's get back to our horses. Let's try the horse's head. As far as we're going to get there, I think. Well, let's get the horse. We've got the head here. There's something, a bump. Oh, that's the guy's shoe. That's the top man's shoe. That will probably help use that as a guide when it comes time to carve this shoe down here. Sandals, shoes, sandals. That's his toe sticking up and then the sandal at the bottom. Okay, I get it. The general rule about the deliveries and stuff, the district is actually zoned no-go for trucks. But of course, common sense, everybody has to get deliveries. So the general rule is before 10 o'clock, wherever possible. Deliveries have to be done before 10 is the goal. And for the most part, that's what happens. Back in the pre-corona life, this district on a weekend like this, all during the day from when the shops open, it's jam-packed with people walking, and it'd be impossible. When we call the post office, sometimes they do it. I mean, back in the old days when the post office used to deliver stuff around the world, we would call them for an EMS pickup. They don't pick up small post, but they pick up EMS. But after some experience with us here, they learned and we learned, don't ever call them on a weekend, because they would try and get their truck through on like Saturday afternoon, and it was just impossible. So they asked us, and we of course we understood. Please don't call for a pickup on a weekend afternoons. And that's history now. There's none of that anymore at all. Although having said that, the post office they sent us a notice on a Thursday night, or they said it came on my RSS feed Thursday night, that as of Friday morning, which is yesterday here in Tokyo, today for the rest of the world, the shipments of airmail and express packages to Europe have mostly now recovered. There are still a couple of countries off. Italy is still off, and a couple of small places like San Marino or whatever, I forget. But all the main European countries are now back up and running. And Cameron sent me through a ton of invoices yesterday of people have been waiting, back-ordered stuff. So if you're in Scandinavia and you've had a shipment here waiting for you, it probably left here yesterday, or if it didn't, it will leave very, very soon. So the main hole in our shipping now still is the U.S., but we're covered there because we're shipping by FedEx. And I got the notice during the night that the shipment arrived at Jed's place just during the night for me. So we may almost be out of our big tunnel here as far as shipping prints goes. Australia is still down because, of course, they've closed. Qantas is not doing any international flying whatsoever. The whole place is shut down. New Zealand and Australia. So we can't ship there at the moment. Canada is okay. UK is okay. Most of Europe is okay now. Messages. Sorry to ignore here. How did they carve back then with no magnifying glasses? Of course, I know when we have lenses, we use them, but it's a kind of crutch. When you don't have lenses, you carve without them. I didn't use this all of my younger years, and that's the thing. In an older workshop, the work would get divided between the people in accordance with their physical abilities. The youngest people had no technique, but they had good eyes. At some point your technique grows, and hopefully your technique grows well enough before your eyes go out. Whatever, there's a peak between the two things as the lines cross. Everybody's DNA is different. You saw me in the video with Ito-san. He could carve really, really quite well, sometimes without his glasses. I can't, especially after the problem that's come up this week now. Without my glasses now, I am retired. I would just have to grab my saxophone or something, whatever. I'm done. Ordered from Awagami, the shipping is double. It is all the shipping rates. FedEx no longer has economy class. They have just simply canceled. They put an X to it. Sorry guys, no economy rates. Go to priority. They just simply canceled it. So they've got the airplanes. That's the way. Governor Koike has reopened Tokyo. Okay, we're not opening, of course. Our target date now, I talked to you about this before. I think our target date now is going to be October the 1st. It might be up to September 1st, but the current target date is October 1st. When we reopen the shop, we open the exhibition hall. The first exhibition opens October the 1st. Our new business model is shop plus exhibition plus showroom rather than shop plus print parties. There are still, of course, no foreigners legally allowed into this country, so we're not going to open the shop now. It's meaningless for us. Are we seeing more people in the neighborhood? On weekends, yes. It's nothing like what it was. It's 30, 40, 50% back. I don't know. The restaurants are really struggling. The guy next door, the Oyster Shack, they're open, but it's Death Valley. Absolute Death Valley. The stand-up bars and stuff are doing okay. I guess people are thinking it's okay to be outside drinking, and I guess it is X% safer, but whatever. It's not normal still. No, it's not normal. Do I actually play saxophone? I have two tenor saxes and an alto sax. I have a Selmer Mark 6 and I have a Conn 10M. Beautiful, beautiful instruments. I did play sax when I was 22, 23, 24, 25. I worked in a hotel dance orchestra. I played very, very badly. Got fired. That's how bad I was. But the saxophones are there, and that's my backup plan. I'm having eye problems this week, and they may turn out to be bad or good. We don't know. Who knows? I have another appointment later on. If the worst came to the worst and I'm done, then that's it. Literally, I would grab my saxophone. Life is long. Lots of acts. This act would be over, and there's time for another act. It's not that bad. We'll see how it goes, but whatever, Whatever. My dad is rolling over at the moment. There's actually somewhere on the blog, it's on one of our blogs there, where I put up a recording. And I used to be in what was called a rehearsal band. I don't know what they call them these days. This is back in the 1970s or so. I was working in the music store. My original music dreams had been the classical flute, but I wasn't good enough for that. I didn't work hard enough. I got beat up by the people who really, really, really worked hard. So classical flute didn't work out for me. I dabbled actually in bass guitar too for a while. That was totally unsuited to my character. And I did. I got a saxophone and I actually got work. I had a little trio, me on saxophone, and a bassist and a guitarist. And we got work, casual stand-up jobs, playing tunes and stuff like this in shopping malls and in golf clubs, stuff like this. And while I was doing that, I got a job playing the sax in a hotel dance orchestra. It was a place called the Hotel Vancouver. and it was the panorama roof back in the day before, when they were still, high-class restaurants with dinner and dancing and stuff. And the roof had a dance orchestra, which was a seven-piece, eight-piece, run by a guy called Claude Logan, who was a Mantovani type. And the music was, Mantovani type scales and chords up and down the piano. This guy with his silver hair, pretending he was, Mantovani. And there was 6 or 7 of us in the orchestra, quote unquote, backing him up. And I had actually pretty much the toughest job in the building, me and the bass player. And the reason is, we did both shifts. The orchestra played dance music and stuff for people to dance out on the front table. Then when the orchestra got its break, a trio came in. And the trio was flute, stand-up bass, and accordion. So I played tenor sax in the orchestra part. Again, badly. And then I played flute in this walking trio. And we did that really, really well. Me and the bass player, a guy called Steve Johnson. So while the other guys had their break, we did the trio walking around. And then after we'd done our 20 minutes, the other guys would come back in from the back room. We sit down and do the orchestra part, and away we go. So us in the trio, we played pretty much all night long. I put my flute down, picked up the tenor. And it went really, really, really well. Unfortunately, the band leader, they were used to people who played tenor sax as a primary instrument and then flute as their secondary instrument. So for the orchestra leader, he wanted a really, really good swinging tenor sax player who could cook and charge up the band. And that was not me. I was a classical flute player who was doubling on tenor sax. And I played whatever, meekly, mildly. I couldn't stand up and cook hot solos and stuff like this. So eventually he just gave me the hook. That's it. Well, let's go get a sax player, And the accordion player was really, really unhappy about this because he was really enjoying it. I was a real flute player. He was used to guys who played tenor primarily, good at tenor sax, and then doubled badly on flute. So here he had a flute player who played in tune, who could play the tunes, who could learn the stuff. So the accordion player wasn't so happy about when I was fired, but that's the way she goes. And the sax, I bought the sax for that job, Selmer Mark 6. Played it for the half a year I did that job. And then the sax went in the closet, and it's still there. Selmer Mark 6 from Paris. It wasn't the North American model bolted together. It was the actual Paris model. And I really, really was no good. I'm not, whatever. I really, really was no good. But yeah, that'll be my backup plan. It's sort of, whatever, you could laugh or something, We might remember something that was done to us years ago and think, I'll show him. I did that with Ito Sanderson. Remember, it's just a hobby for you. And he said that to friend. When I made that video, I really gestured badly. I made Ito sound like a bad guy. It's just a hobby for you, blah, blah, blah. He was just chatting friendly. You saw him in the video, how friendly he was. So anyway, the point being, I showed him, and it's still there in the back of my mind, Claude Logan. He doesn't think I can play saxophone. I'll show him one day. You're not going to hear me play, believe me. It would just sound like dead ducks. It would sound like just nothing. I was no good then, and that was 1973 or 74 or something. What is it, 84, 94, 04, 14, 45 years ago. I haven't touched it, so give me a break, What a next act that would be. Dave has something wrong with his eyes. He goes blind. He has to close his print. No, the kids can take over the print shop. I'll get my sax. We'll find a little bar or something in the back street of a sax. I'll practice. I'll never be good at it, but I can get whatever at it. Wouldn't that be a fun next act? Eye patch or something, before I cut too much here, I better check and see what I'm doing, get too excited in the story and chop off a bunch of lines. The horse here, there's a bridle or something coming down. I think if we cut that bridle coming down, then we've got the back here, and then all we got to do is carve a bunch of hair inside. Most of it curves the same way as the bridle, but the last few strokes carve the other way. I don't really need to know if we need to do that, but let's have a look and see. My brother, he's in Germany. He actually is a saxophone player. He went that way. At the beginning, I was going to be a classical flute player and sort of failed out, ended up working in a music store. My brother started out, he was going to be a classical bassoon player. And I don't know every step of the way of his. He didn't fail at that specifically. I think he just got more interested in real music rather than archaic classical music. So he put aside the bassoon. I think he was in the British Army for a while, a British Army band as a bassoon player. Then he got a sax player and got a sax and worked on the side in local dance bands and stuff, and got good at that. And the bassoon got put aside, and the saxophone became primary for him. Then he worked in Germany for a quarter of a century in theaters and stuff in Germany, and he's now retired there. So he's the one who went the same way as my dad. My dad was a professional sax player all his life, and so my brother followed the footsteps as close as could be possible in a different era. My dad's era was, the dance bands, swing bands, and they didn't exist in my brother's era. But so he got a job in a theater. Those two guys, every time we had the family get-togethers, we used to get together every year or so. I would come from Japan, my brother would come from Germany, my parents lived in Vancouver. We'd just gas out, hang out together for a week or so. Those two guys would just tell each other lies about all their different musical jobs they'd had and stuff. They had a great time with that. So. My brother right now, I shouldn't talk about it too much, he's stuck in Germany. He's actually retired. His job from the theater, he retired from there, it would be, X months ago. And he got his pension set up and stuff, and he's at the moment trying to move. He has a family, he's married, he has a family in Thailand. And he was just back in Germany to get things all set up when bang, down came the boom and the air travel stopped. So he's stuck in Germany, and his wife and his family is in Thailand. And this is going on month after month after month, and the guy's just sitting there, Just random raggly, some short, some long. It's a hare mane of a horse, We shouldn't make it. I always end up making these things too neat. Carve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It shouldn't be neat, but I don't know how to do rough. Actually, it's the same story as I just told you, I was good at the flute, playing neat, clean tunes and songs, but I couldn't do rough, the saxophone part, It's the same story. Our character really plays out in many aspects of our life, Dave doesn't know how to do rough. So that's the thing. I was, joking about this. If I do pick up the sax again, when I had it before, 40 odd years ago, I got some books of scales and jazz patterns and stuff, and tried to read those things. Totally the wrong way to play that kind of instrument. So in the back of my head, if, when, / whatever, I do pick the thing up again, I will pretend that I don't know how to read music. And I'm not even going to do anything to do with reading. I'll get some records, Lester Young or Ben Webster, whatever, some guys, put it on and learn by playing along with those dudes and taking it from there. And I will not, I promised myself already, I will not ever read a black dot of sheet music ever again in my life, because it was the wrong approach for that kind of instrument. Promises, promises, promises. Vacuum cleaner lady must be 8:30. What's the time? 8:30 before I look. 8:30, 8:32? 8:47. Oh, she is late. Oh, the lamppost, look at that. It has landed. The lamppost has, it's like SpaceX. It has come in for a landing. Yeah, I got halfway through the story. We did make a record. We made it was a cassette tape back in those days. So the rehearsal band we made a cassette tape, 9 or 10 tracks. I was on baritone sax for that band. They had lots of good tenor sax players. But I was a baritone sax player, and that suited my character more. Steady control, listen to the bass trombone behind me, no wild jazz. The tenor guys took care of that. That was fun. And we made one of the guys, the drummer, had some contacts in the recording industry, and he made a couple of records. We went into not for sale or anything, just they paid money, pressed these cassette tapes and gave us each one, and hi guys, here's your record, And it's online, it's on my blog, one of the blogs. I don't have access to it right now, I'm going to search for it. And it's on there, and you can hear the baritone sax. Yeah, the other way around. You're reading sheet music. I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to diss it. Music is there to translate an idea. A composer composes something, puts it on paper, you pick up his idea. I did it with the flute, but it became for me because black dots. It's just translation of black dots, and it became like a computerized intellectual exercise. And it was okay, and I made a career of it and did it well, and that's the whole classical world works like that. There was an experience one day, a bassoon player called Roland Small. He was coaching some of us back in the youth orchestra days. And we had sort of a mini master class, and he said something and I listened to it and I did it. But as I walked away, I'll never ever forget it. We were doing some Mozart phrase or something, whatever, and I had played it, probably again, translating the black notes. And he said, look, the person is singing, right? You've got to sing. And I'm like, I'll try singing. He said, no, look at this phrase. This is classic Mozart. It repeats 3 times. Listen, it repeats once, da-da-da-dee-dee. Then it comes back again, da-da-da-dee-dee. And he said, it comes back a 3rd time, and that's da-da-da-dee-dee. You've got to pour your heart out the 3rd time. And it was just another formula. The 1, yes, the 2, a bit more feeling. The 3rd time, a bit more feeling. And I did what he said. He said, yeah, good. You're getting it. You're getting. And it wasn't feeling at all. It was another version of the translation of, okay, 3rd time, X up. And it just over the years, it wasn't anything that had come from inside you. It was just translation of these dots. And then I'd go to the rehearsal band and sit next to a guy called Tom Keelyside. What would he be? He must be about my age now. I guess he's retired or whatever. I don't know. And he'd stand up and hook his tenor on and just go... And it would pour out of this guy. It has nothing to do with black dots or the training that said 3rd time through, add more feeling. The guy just felt the music. And I sat there listening to this and feeling it and realized that, Dave, you're doing it wrong. Music wasn't about translation of these dots. It was about getting some technique with a voice and an instrument and then standing up and saying something. So that's what I missed all the time through my music career. And I'm half joking, blabbing about this now. If I did put this away for a while and go grab the saxophone, that's what I would like to explore. Can I actually do that? So forget the reading of the black notes. Get some technique. Practice. Practice. Get your fingers and your sound. And, you've got to be able to know the words before you can tell the story. and then let's see, do I have it in me to stand up and tell a story with the saxophone? Maybe I don't even have it in me. There's only one way to find out. Now we have here, I think, a nose bag, I guess. Let's have a look. We do. We have a nose bag and there's hair coming down to it. There's a front line, a back line. Let's get that set first. So all this stuff you see here, this is mottled stuff from the copy picking up. There's actually nothing here. Let's get the outline done. Oh, look at that dab of little camellia oil, and we can see right away. Bing, 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 bing. I don't think we can zoom in any closer. I don't know. Could we get a bit better? What's this? Your father in his 60s talking his career doing jingles in New York. Really? That was, my dad did those all the time in Vancouver. Vancouver was quite a hotbed during the 60s, 70s, I guess. No, 80s? Yeah, 60s, 70s. There was a lot of studio work there, a lot of jingles done. I guess because it was cheaper than California or something. So a lot of work was done up there. So my dad did those all the time. No, I was no part of it at all, but my dad did those all the time, Dave, how are the floaters? The right eye is, like I said, I went to the doctor last week. I have a massive floater and a couple of blind spots in the eye. They've taken their pictures. I'm going to go back in a few more weeks. I've got an appointment. They want to compare the pictures for the 2 weeks and then compare. There's no retinal tears. Nothing is absolutely damaged at the moment. And all they can do is simply take a bunch of pictures, compare again a couple of weeks from now and check. It's really bothersome. I keep grabbing for something over the right-hand side that keeps floating around. And when I'm doing this now, I'm basically focusing just through my left eye because I can't get both of them to work together. So the doctor said, the floater thing, it just may fade away, but they want to make sure that there's nothing else there. So I'm supposed to go back. He said, don't panic at all. There's nothing dramatic going on as far as they can see. He inspected and zoomed in and inspected and zoomed in some more. A young doctor, he's about, 35 or something, I don't know. whenever you're in the checkups, I do these checkups all the time here in Japan. They're sort of semi-mandatory once you hit 60 or so. So I go for these checkups, and the doctor's always young, and they're always like, yeah, okay, well, that's to be expected at, he's about to say, that's to be expected at your age, and he doesn't actually say that, so whatever. So. Okay, let's get inside this thing. It seems to be they're in kind of rows. I think they've actually drawn something here that sort of makes sense. It's kind of a basket, yeah. Chup, 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 chup. It's kind of a basket shape. I don't know, that's quite large, and we've shrunk it to about whatever half the size of that, so I don't know what we can really do, but let's have a go. The smaller they get, if you try coming back just against this, chuk, 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 you just pull the whole line out. So when it's a larger pattern like this, you run your knife along both lines to keep the line consistent. But with smaller ones like this, you can't do that. So we're just going to pop out a bunch of random little squares. And at this scale, it will hopefully have a little bit of a natural look. If you were to take this finished print and zoom in with a microscope, you'll see that this line isn't as smooth as it should be, but at this scale. Okay, that's two main lines. That'll show the shape. Now the ones that are on the outside, we'll just do a few random little white things here just to continue the effect. They don't need to really line up, I think. There does seem to be quite a bit of activity out there this morning, so all kinds of stuff going on. Okay, there's our bag. Okay, the bag's done, the horse's hair is done, the ears are done, the guy's shoe is done. Are we actually done with this thing? Horse is there, horse is there. Oh no, there's a few more things up here under the hat. What's this? Oh, there's a face at that end of it. Yeah, we got the face. No, there's nothing at the back, it's just black. Okay. Alright, moving on to this guy. That shoe is done. So we now just have the last problem. We have to do a foot. What time is it? 9:03. Height. What are you looking for? Looking for music. A lot of the Story Week has music intros, but that's nothing to do with me. You know, that's a different story. The Story Week intro music is not me. That was composed, whatever. That's a different story. We can talk about that some other day. But whatever. Just remind me about it. Send me an email reminding me about it, and I'll look up a link and I'll get it ready for next time we have for the next session here. There is somewhere on there a recording. I just put the stuff up on the net. I don't have permission to put the music up, but it's on the back end of a blog somewhere. So. Talking about floaters and stuff, yeah, whatever. There is a floater. The guy said the retina is all okay, nothing's detached, but whatever. Towel, talking about towels, I don't understand the reference. I'm sorry, I missed something up here, but whatever. I don't know, whatever, I can't catch them all. Let's go. So what are we going to do about this foot? There's two ways to do this. I can just sort of hack away at something right now. Or I could, sort of sit down and think about it a bit more carefully and draw something. His foot is not here, is it? It's too bad. We should have thought about it more carefully. What do you think? Do we live dangerously, or do we... something here to show? Probably get the wrong scale and give the guy some gigantic foot. I think that'll do. Let's live dangerously. Dave's talking about trying to play jazz instead of playing classical flute. Let's ad-lib this. What's the worst that could happen? Think Hokusai, Dave. Rough strokes here. There's the guy's toe. We'll send out this share certificate, and people reply, Dave, why does this guy have two left feet? Now, how do these things work as far as straps go? Straps come from the toe sort of over the arch. There's one up on his ankle. It's already there. Now, let's do that. Here's the ankle strap. Then it must be something going down like this. Oops. All right, done. Done. Leg is okay, knee is there, back foot. This. It's all done. Helmet's okay. Let's clear off the top here. Oh, that thing they're just carving that guy's foot, you know. I mean, in the old days, doing these things like these Hokusai pictures, the carvers, of course, oh my God, you know, they would just carve huge amounts of stuff just making it up. I know the guy's doing the sketch, Hokusai, whatever, when he had done the original sketch for this horse, there wouldn't be one line, doot, 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 just a gray wash. Hair mane here. The guy's face, he'd put the eyes in, then the hair. And the carver would just carve hair in a place that he knew where to carve hair. There was even one example. It's one of the things in the Victoria and Albert Museum, the Hokusai hunch, they're ready for carving. The heads are just blobs. Carve a Hokusai head, face here. And the carver would just, whatever. Competent guy would know what to do, just carve a Hokusai head. He's seen a million of them. Okay, I think the key block there is now done. Now we're not going to have an outline around the outside. Let's zoom out a bit here. We're not going to have an outline around the outside. Just to run back a bit, what this is going to be and what it's going to look like. Oh, where's my sample? Here we are. Here is a sample. The way it's going to work is this. The image will be in the middle and it will bleed. It will just go round out to the outside like this. So what we've done on this new one now, we have carved the black lines, which are in essence the same as the black part of this owl. And we will then print the black lines and they will give us the place where to carve the colors. But they won't tell us where the background color should be. And this print's going to have, it's going to have a background tone. So I have prepared already, we've already shown and talked about this on the stream here. I've prepared already somewhere here, somewhere here, somewhere here. I have prepared already the tracing to paste down that shows where that background area is. If I could find it. Here it is. So we can do that. We get time, right? 9:12. We get time to do this before we move on to show and tell. So what I did was I just printed from last year's block set. I printed the blue and registered in the same registration marks. We're using the same registration marks as we did for last year. So I printed it, and now what we're going to do is we're going to paste this down. This is on Gampi paper, and we are going to cut some registration marks here, paste this down, and that will be our own blue. I'm not going to carve an owl shape. I'm just going to carve an oval, and then we will transfer the key lines into that oval, and that will give me, here we are. We're going to use this part of the block right there. So let's do this. We need, I better zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Right. I'm not sure what's happening in the chat here. Oh, this is where it doesn't work with one eye. How did I choose where to put this? I chose a clean piece of wood. The first side we had here, I was first going to put it opposite this one. On this same piece of wood, there's going to be 4 colors on here. I was first going to just put the other side, get ready here over here. We're trying to avoid, but look at this, we've got a big knot. It's big enough. So we'll use that area for one of the skin colors or something like that. So I just searched around for a minute here and found the cleanest place on this block, which is suitable for the background color here. So we will paste this down on a clean part of the block. A print like this, the share certificate, a lot of this is really expediency. There's going to be only, 20 copies or so of this print made. We don't do limited editions at Mokuhankan. But just by virtue of what it is, this share certificate each year turns out to be a quasi-limited edition, because it goes to we don't have all that many patrons at that level. So, and we have to do a new one each year. So this is sort of a de facto limited edition. And we number them each. Each one, when we send them out, I write the person's name on, and I put the number. I keep track of which one we've done, and. This is, I guess, really, it's Mokuhankan's only kind of limited edition, but whatever. Time. We gotta do this. Quick. Dave. Are you misbehaving in a good way, or actually is there trouble here? I don't know. S&T, hang on a minute. Oh, that's the wrong one. What am I doing? That has no hunched on it. I prepared 2. This was just a test. Dave. Here we are. This is the one with the Gampi. I thought it looked funny from the back. No, the reason I didn't put the Kento at the corner, just one sec. Let me do this first. One sec. There's a real good reason I didn't put the Kento at the corner. We're going to use this block 4 times, 1, 2, and on the other side, 1, 2. But because we are printing with 2 kentos on one block. When we're printing and rubbing this with our baren, bum, 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 if something else is here nearby on a different area, the baren might bang it, and we would get a mark on the paper from some unwanted area. So what I've done is, I moved the kento in so that this area and this area, instead of being banging up above each other, area A, area B, I've moved them so they're farther apart. So when we're printing this carved area, which is irrelevant, won't be in the way and banging. I'm sorry, it's a bit whatever. I'm trying to explain it when the thing doesn't exist yet. But once we're up and running and you can see the whole block, it'll make more sense. Sometimes we use the same piece of wood with one kento, color A, color B, color C, and the same registration. And that's okay, even if the baren banged it, because it will be in the proper place. But when we're using a different kento on the same block, we have to make sure the areas are far enough away so that the baren doesn't bang the back of the paper in the wrong place. So when we're printing, this part of the paper will be unsupported, but it doesn't matter, there's nothing there. I'm sorry, it's not so good trying to explain in words something that has some meaning. There's one kento, we're going to print blah, 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 without banging here. Another way to do this is we could actually cut this piece of wood with a saw, bzzz, and just use this one, and use that one separately, then flip this over, use this one, and use that one separately. We could do that. We could make 2 physical pieces of wood here, and then I wouldn't have needed to do this movement thing. But we just convenient, just one piece of wood. Where's the share certificate block? There it is, it's all on one piece of wood. It's at the end. So to reiterate again, I'm going to carve just the oval, but not the owl shape. We'll carve just the oval with a full color for the whole thing. Then later, we will print the key from this one in the same registration marks, then paste the key onto that oval after I've carved the oval, and that will show me the areas that need to be taken out of the middle of the oval. Okay, let's go, 9:20. There's a little bit of show and tell before we shut down here. 2 things to show. The Takamizawa blocks, we've talked about this before. We got a bunch of pre-war Takamizawa, small blocks, and we have been feeding them to our printer, Kawai-san, one at a time. We now have 3 of them in stock. You've seen this one already. This is the first one he returned to me a couple of weeks ago. The image of Seba, you've seen this. Beautiful, beautiful printing of a tiny little wood block carved pre-war. We saw this a few weeks ago. He then sent me, and you saw this maybe 2 weeks ago, the print of Kaminarimon. Tiny little details, stunningly interesting. And now the 3rd one, and we're going to call it here for a while. The 3rd one is now ready. And he's now going to move on. He's going to print some rickshaw carts. We're running out of the Mario print. So he's going to move on to that. But for these 3 now will be prepped, and they will go into our shop. He's done a stunning, absolutely good job on this. And I have a real problem now, because as soon as we put this on the website, these are going to sell out like crazy. And he doesn't want to do another job of these. These are on old antique blocks that warp and twist. And none of the printers really want to spend too much time doing this. They take a huge amount of time, and they really don't earn good money for the printers because they spend so much time fooling around with the blocks, putting them in baths to bend them back into shape and stuff like that. So these will be something that will go into our shop for a while, then they'll be out for a while until we can convince another printer to do a batch, and they'll be in and out. Anyway, there we are. 1, 2, 3. The other show and tell is a continuation of what we did Thursday. I showed you this book last Thursday, part 1. It's in Japan, they always show Jo and Ge. Up and down is the convention that happened for doing part 1 and part 2. If there had been part 3, it would be Jo Chu Ge. Up, middle, lower. In this case, there's only 2 volumes. I put a link in here. I did the scanning. We did some photography on this yesterday. Here we go. Here's one of the pages. There's the page that we put up on the new collection website yesterday. If you're on a desktop where you can see both, here's the book page in real life that matches the link I just gave you. And I don't know why they did this. They published this book with stupendous, humongous margins. They wanted it to look like a substantial volume. They made it large, about A4 size, and the pictures are A5 size. Now, I get it, but the thing is, these are spreads. That's supposed to be one. Let's get rid of the outside here for a minute. This is supposed to be a single spread, but my brain cannot process this as one. When it's a normal gutter in a book, I get that. My brain can handle that. You ignore the middle line, you see the picture as it is across a book spread. Whatever, I can't get this, I'm sorry. I can look at this one on the right-hand side, then I can turn my attention and look at this one on the left-hand side. Why is she covering her ears? It's a thunderstorm. It's an interior of a Japanese home. This was in 1810, and there's a sudden massive thunderstorm. The servant guy or somebody is putting up the wooden shutters. The kid is screaming in the corner. Some woman is hiding her ears. It's a summer thunderstorm. Anyway, this one was scanned, photographed last night, and it is now up on the web on that link I posted a moment ago. And here is book 2. Let's flip through just to see what kind of stuff is book 2. As usual, it opens with a literal flower. They're called flowers of the seasons. That last one, the seasons were spring and summer, and we are now going to move into autumn. And again, I can't get these as separate items, I really can't get them as separate items. So let's zoom in so we can see them one by one. So we're moving into autumn, but it is still warm. This is a Tanabata decoration. So this is actually in our calendar now it's July, but in the old calendar this is a symbol for getting towards the end of summer. There's a person with a fan on the top. It's still very, very hot. This is late summer. We would not consider this autumn, but they are. The autumn flowers and stuff are starting to come. And over to you guys. What do we have here? Whatever. I guess it's supposed to be a DOG, but I don't know. These guys were never any good at actually drawing dogs. The scratching your neck thing tells me it's a dog, but doesn't look like any kind of dog I ever saw. What's this underneath the bench here? Dog? Let's not go there. Moving right along. Oh, actually, before we do, there is something really interesting in this one. I just noticed now. Do you see this in the background? I don't know the name for it. It begins with a K. It's a kinetoscope. There's a candle or something inside. And there's some silhouette paintings on the outside. And there's a little shutter thing inside. And when you spin it, it gives you the impression of a moving picture. Somebody would be walking. Kinescope. What am I supposed to say next, John? Have you got enough eggs? Kinetoscope tonight. Kinescope, are you right? Okay, I believe you. So you would spin it, and the person seems to walk. That's all you're going to get. So I'm not quite so sure along how the entertainment value would survive. But back in the 1800s, I think there was no TV and radio, whatever. You might watch that thing for quite a while. Kinescope, kinetoscope. I don't know. I'm seeing 2 votes. My brain said kinetoscope, but I don't know. I'm neutral here. I really do not remember. Zoetrope. That's yeah, maybe. John had one as a kid. Okay. Upstairs here, we're now moving more into autumn, so what are we going to see here? Like, they're all smoking in these pictures, you know. All these ladies have with their little pipes and their drugs. Oh, of course, autumn moon, bingo. Where's the cat? They're beautifully done, you know, absolutely beautifully done. And we talked about this before. The original Edo book was soft and charming. This Taisho era reproduction we're looking at now is hard and charming. It's a beautiful print, it's soft to the touch, but all the lines in the printing is a bit hard. Yeah, someone's suggesting maybe you could actually sort of do that, I guess. I don't want to fold this thing too much, but I mean, it doesn't really give you anything you couldn't do if they had done the binding this way. You would see it like this. So what's the advantage of having it so big, you know? Yeah, you can squeeze it in and get it look a little better. Yeah. What I did yesterday, we photographed them, Yamada-kun and I, we held the prints deathly flat against the backboard with the light, and then I used Photoshop to lens correct and then color correct and then paste them together. What have we got here? We are out on an outing. We have an elderly gentleman with a cane. Speak of the devil here. And what's happening? Oh, I see. We're going out to a flower viewing. Oh no, there must be an event happening here. Autumn flowers. We're going to see chrysanthemums, clearly. So this is we see this in Japan every year. All the community centers, every town in this country, no exceptions, bar none, puts on an exhibition of chrysanthemums and autumn flowers at their local community centers every autumn. Guys grow them in their backyards. They carefully hold them up. They get them big. Literally every town in this country will be having an exhibition just like this. They put them in a straw mat, they cover them, and then everybody tuttles out to go and see them. This is a scene that's from 18 whatever, but this could be this year. It happens exactly like this. The guy, Tamura-san, he's dead now. He has the house across the river from my home in Ome. He does exactly the same thing. He just every year, starting in the spring, he would coax his chrysanthemums into the right shape, ready for the autumn viewing. What do we have here? Another one. This is autumn viewing. Somebody's got a kago. These are rich people, you know. They're being taken out. There's a river, maple leaves. The whole thing we're looking at here, a book like this, it's really showing very, very, very upper class scenes from an upper class life. Absolutely. The dress, the hairstyles, the activities. These are upper class people, which is fine. I suppose they are the target for the book. Anyway, what's next? Who knows? Let's go. We are now getting cool. We are now in the kotatsu. It is now cold. And look at this. We have a split screen. We have the top half of a creature and the back half. And it's snowing. Can we put them together? I don't want to crease the book too much here. I'm sorry. So we'll see it. It won't be today because I'm too busy today, but somewhere later this week we will be photographing this one and putting these online, and I will paste them together. And this is real life too, you know. When Boots was alive, the cat who came to my house all the time, she lived on and around the kotatsu from December, January, February, March. The kotatsu, in this print, there will be a hibachi underneath with coals. My kotatsu had a 500-watt infrared light bulb, and Boots just lived there, along with all of us, of course. Are there any repeating kimonos? I don't know. I'm not studying one by one. There's a bunch of common patterns. These are not, these are home use household kimonos. These are not glorious Yoshiwara Kurta-san out to show off kimono. These are just simply standard issue home use kimono. And there's your hibachi outside too. This is the heater for the room. It's a bunch of ash with some hot coals in it, and that's your heating source for the room, the hibachi. Are we done? Is there one more? There's one, two, there's two more. I see a rainstorm outside. Look at this. They've done the rain in negative space. Easy way to do it. Chop white lines into the background. This is quite some storm. One of their servants is leading the way with his umbrella and lantern. So this is supposed to be night, presumably. As we said yesterday, the original book is from the 1800s, so maybe give me 1805, 1806, 1809, somewhere on there. And this reproduction we're looking at now was made in 1916 or 1919, somewhere on there. Just over 100 years after the original, and now we are 100 years later. So it's a scale. The original book was then, this reproduction came then, and we are now here almost exactly 100 years apart in each one. This book is now 101 years old, and it would have been made about 105 years after the original. Here we have the famous ice in the water dipper. Here we go. We are now, of course, in the middle of winter. The lady is showing her friend, look, the dipper in the water is frozen this morning. I forget the name. Is it Nandina? I forget the name of the plant that has those red berries during the winter. I'm sorry. Nandina domestica. I don't remember the name. I'm sorry. So there we have it. Let's zoom in again before I shut this down. Again, for those of you who don't know what's going on, we have our Mokonkan collection online where we have very, very high resolution photographs of prints like this. I'll post just one more time if there's someone that's just showed up. Here's a link to one page of part one of this book. The whole book is online. You can zoom in spectacularly close. And there we go. Okay, thank you very much. This is Saturday morning. I'm off to do some sizing upstairs and then some accounting. I will be back here Monday morning carving some more on our horses in the snow. People are having streaming problems. I'm showing green, green, green all at this end. I haven't touched the computer. I think we're okay at this end. I'm sorry. We're looking good here. It shows live 1 hour, 34 minutes, 40 seconds. No problems at this end. So. Okay, thanks very much. It's been good. I actually got some work done this time. I'll read the chat when I have my lunch. Thanks very much for coming in. See you on Monday morning. At least half see you on Monday morning. See you then. Okay, thanks guys. Bye for now. And I'm heading upstairs. See you soon.